Now, looking ahead to next week with the Champions League, Bayern Munich are going to be taking on Inter Milan in the first leg of the Champions League quarter-final match. Inter are fighting for the treble at the moment. Bayern also have a chance to get the double. Who do you think has more pressure going into this quarter-final first leg?
I think Inter does, because this Inter side is getting a little bit older. We've been talking about it all year in Serie A, right? This is a team that was so close to winning a title. This is a team that I think we've all expected to at least be at this stage and get further in this competition, where Bayern, you can make the case that they have a young manager in Vincent Kompany. It's his first time around. They're always at the top of the Bundesliga. Okay, last year notwithstanding, where they finished second, but there's always an expectation at Bayern that, Champions League is sort of it's kind of like PSG, where Champions League is the benchmark of where they judge the season, because they always expect to win. But I think because this Inter side is getting just a little long in the tooth right now, that they might be under pressure before they go through sort of a change under Inzaghi.
Yeah, well, going off of what you're saying, Tone, I think Bayern has a little bit more pressure than Inter. If Inter ends up winning the Scudetto, I think that's a good season, given the fact that it's an older squad. It's been a dogfight in Serie A, and you end up on top of the table. That's pretty impressive. Losing to Bayern, I think Inter today are better than Bayern collectively. But if Bayern lose, I think it's more disastrous if they walk out of the Champions League in the quarterfinal, end up winning the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I think I'm thinking with the injuries that they have right now, a young manager, Thomas Muller, one of their greats, is going to leave the club, but doesn't have a major say in the way that they play and how much he plays. Although he comes in and he's so influential in games, I think that's kind of why I lean that way. But I certainly understand what you're saying.
In this Bayern Munich team, they are unfortunate to get some injuries in the international break. Inter are already so good at exposing a back line. How do Bayern Munich handle that Inter side?
I have no idea, because you look at Alphonso Davies, Upamecano, Ito, Buchmann hasn't played all season long. He's played in the Regionalliga. He's a young up-and-coming centre-back, but he's injured. And now Kim Min-jae is questionable. You have literally one healthy center back in Eric Dyer. Konrad Leimer's probably going to be your right back. It's going to be Eric Dyer. We'll see how Kim Min-jae is this weekend, who came back from South Korea national team camp hurt. And Rafa Guerreiro is your left back, but he's a completely different profile as a left back to what Alphonso Davies gives you, has extreme speed, bombs forward, who's hitting crosses, who can cut inside and shoot. Guerreiro's a little bit more possession style. Let's see if Josip Stanisic can also debutize as left back. But I'm seriously concerned for Bayern, and this is the big question. Kim Min-jae, what is his status? And Bayern plays tomorrow.
Yeah,
so
back injuries are tough, right? You never really know, when you're going to get healthy. And keep in mind, Eric Dyer, he wasn't a center back until Jose said, you're not a defensive midfielder at Tottenham, and now all of a sudden you're a center back, right? And I don't think that he's great as a center back. Guerreiro, I think, that depending on what happens with Inter, if Dumfries is not available, we know Inter is a wide team, right? A team that plays with those guys flying forward. Di Marco, if he gets healthy, who looks like he's going to be. Dumfries, how healthy is he? If it's Darmian out there, maybe the speed thing isn't so much with Guerreiro, but Alphonso Davies is a major miss for this side in this tie right here.
There's also one thing that Bayern tried at the very beginning that I highly doubt that they'll do again. Sacha Boey, the French fullback that they got from Galatasaray at the beginning of the season, he was a right back. They tried him at left back when Alphonso Davies was injured. It didn't work. And he's fallen out of favor. He's probably going to leave the club in the summer. But he's also another option defensively. But they're almost out of variables. Mm-hmm. Because if it's not Kim, who is it? Like, quite literally, if something happens to Kim, who hasn't been great all season, he's actually, I would say, he's poor this season. What do you do? And then Urbig, Manuel Neuer experienced a setback in his recovery from that calf injury. So you have an inexperienced goalkeeper, a backline that's all out of whack, has never played together, inconsistent. It's probably not even your second or third string back. I don't know. It's worrisome, extremely worrisome for Bayern at the moment in the back.
You're kind of holding your breath in the back 5 or 6 of this Bayern team, but then you look at the front 4, and these guys can score goals with anybody in the world, right? Obviously Harry Kane, who we had on the other day, and this guy can score goals, in his sleep. Musiala, one of the young great players in the world. Zane has been outstanding since coming from the Premier League. Olise, right? This season, coming from Crystal Palace, right? He has been outstanding, but in this team here, the engine for Inter is in the middle of the field. Çalhanoğlu, he has been nothing short of outstanding. Barella has been incredible. Mkhitaryan getting a little bit older, but he's sort of the complementary player that makes the wide players so effective. So just any team that plays Inter, you have to deal in the wide areas, and that's why maybe some of the injuries that they have are going to hurt them defensively. This team's going to be able to attack. Lautaro Martinez just coming back. Thuram has been a little bit slow with regards to numbers over the last couple of weeks, but we know his ability to run in behind, to jump over players, to hold the ball up. It's a really fascinating matchup between these two sides.
It definitely is, and I'm looking at these 3 center backs for Inter defensively. So if Kane's going to float, I'm happy with having 3 center backs for one player. So who's going to occupy those channels? Is it going to be Musiala in those tight spaces, who's been really good? When Müller comes in, we do see him occupy these spaces, float in here, and occupy these center backs, give him a little bit more of a worry. But, it's Musiala really who's going to be starting, who has to unlock that for Harry Kane. And I understand Harry Kane has been sensational. He scored against every single Bundesliga opponent that he has faced in his career, which is only 2 seasons long. But when you talk about legacy defining, it's in these sorts of games that Harry Kane needs to get activated, Musiala needs to get activated. Michael Olise really need to leave their fingerprint on this game, because there's a lot of problems in the back. The answers are going to have to come from the front.
Hannah, we were about match day 6 or 7, I can't remember, standing up here, and we were doing this whole Bayern breakdown. And I said with Bayern Munich, what's the destiny for Bayern Munich? I said, if you told me at the end of Champions League that they got knocked out in the round of 16, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me they went to the finals of Champions League, I wouldn't be surprised, because they have so much talent, right? And you can see it. But the injuries are going to be the biggest question mark. And this is Vincent Kompany's first go-around here. I think he's done a great job this year of managing this competition, but this is his first go-around a little bit later now in the competition, dealing with a team like Inter, so it's going to be really fascinating to see. But he might be forced into more decisions maybe than he really wants to make, and especially in that back line. But if you're thinking about anyone who can recognize somebody on the team that might be able to help him as a center back, it's going to be Vincent Kompany.
Well, the Champions League kicks off again next week on Tuesday. You can watch it right here on the CBS Golazo network.